After weeks of refurbishing a Salette sail drive leg and then waiting for the right weather window to beach our boat and swap it out with our broken one, we are finally ready to take off from Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina and make our way south. The plan is to head out the Cape Fear Inlet and sail down to Saint Augustine, Florida, which is around 300 nautical miles.
Okay, so we just returned, and I say we, it was just me. Michaela's back on the boat getting everything ready to take off today. But finally returned this rental car. We are going to motor over to the Cape Fear River Inlet today, and then tomorrow we're going to take off into some weather. It won't be perfect sailing, but we'll be sailing down to Saint Augustine, and I couldn't be more excited. I have had plenty of North Carolina for this year.
We have been waiting for this day for what feels like forever and freezing our butts off in the process. We are more than ready to make our way to the Bahamas and enjoy some sunshine.
Look at all of these fish. There was a duck chasing them. And they just straightened into one line, got out of there, and now they're fanning out again. It was crazy.
If you've been following along, you probably recognize Finn from our last couple videos. He helped us seal the drive leg, beach the boat, and swap out the legs. We are very blessed because today Finn is going to be joining us for this passage. Goodbye, Wrightsville. Today we're motoring over to the Cape Fear Inlet using the ICW. We'll sleep in the anchorage there, and then first thing in the morning we'll head out into open waters. First things first, we're heading over to the fuel dock to fill up our tank and jerry cans. We carry around 51 gallons of diesel when we're full.
It's running like a train. Is that how it normally sounds, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say generally it sounds like, I mean, it's kind of loud. You know, there's a lot of
Yeah, and it's not underneath the boat.
Yeah, that's why we like to sail.
Right.
I was just gonna let it slow down to like 2 knots, and then we just creep our way forward.
Cool.
But I'm not really in a rush, and I don't like hitting, so we're vibing.
From time to time it all comes around, but no one knows the end. We're all building bridges slowly, tearing them down fast to start over. We're all trying to come over memories of the past and start over. We're all building bridges slowly, tearing.
We did check the oil in the drive leg to make sure it still looks normal because we just redid the seals and want to make sure no water is leaking into the leg again. That caused way too many issues last time. Honestly, we often use our dinghy to grab fuel with the jerry cans. It's not like we can't dock the boat, just the two of us. We've done it plenty of times, but it was less stressful having a third set of hands on deck. I quickly put the fenders and lines away as we got going again so that they weren't just left on the side of the boat, mostly because I don't want them damaged or stolen, but also because someone once commented that it's a very amateur thing to leave them on the sides. I don't even know if I completely agree with that, but the comment has just never left my mind.
Wow. Wow.
How do you feel about the swing?
It's pretty, dude, it's epic. That's all you need.
It's great for sitting in the ICW.
ICW. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not ocean worthy whatsoever.
No, you'll get tossed straight through that window. But this isn't so bad.
Alright.
We are running into the craziest fog we've seen yet.
Yeah, not thrilled about it.
We decided to keep going. We have AIS. We've got our lights on. We're not going very fast. I'm more worried about power boats that are going fast. But hopefully most people aren't. Hopefully there's not really a lot of people out in this.
I mean, I don't think we outrun it if we turn around.
No, we'd still just be in
Like,
there.
it kind of creeped in, but it's like, 10, 15 knots of wind blowing, so. And it's just gonna blow it over us anyway. We might as well go to the
spot we want to go.
Yeah.
We're only like an hour out. Ooh, I'm cold. I'm sorry the camera's shaking because I'm shivering.
We've run into fog before, but nothing like this. We had so little visibility, and unfortunately the sun was setting at the same time, so that little bit that we could see was quickly fading. We only had about 5 miles to go, and it didn't make any sense to turn around because the fog was passing over us. Turning around would only mean that we'd be in it even longer. This was the first time we really got to use our radar though, so that was a little bit of fun, but mostly this was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. The only boat we passed in the Cape Fear River was a towboat dragging a 300-foot boat behind it. The fog had cleared up a little bit at this point, and it looked like we were passing a city on the water.
It's so foggy, it's so dark. The wind is coming from our like starboard and aft side right now though. So we're gonna have to like swing like 90 degrees. We're in 10 feet of water right now. You can probably drop that up.
We anchored after dark in Tina's pocket anchorage, planning to head out into the inlet at around 6:30 a.m. We had a hard time anchoring here. The hook dug in right away, but the chain was under us. It was just wind against current pushing us in different directions.
We can't get the oil cap off of the drive leg, so we don't, like, I am going to have to assume that it's good. It looked good last night, but I cannot get it open. So I think we're gonna need to get in the water to open it, and we're not gonna do that here. We're gonna head down the Cape Fear River. It does not look like we have a lot of wind in general to get us where we're trying to go. But we're gonna do our best. If that includes some motoring, that includes some motoring. Yeah, 7 a.m., longest journey yet. Let's get started. We got up early, prepped the boat, did the engine checks, and we're ready to head out the inlet. Honestly, I think we would have been better off waiting for a different weather window. And that was a lesson learned of this trip. Always with the crazy inlets. So it's pretty slow going here. So we're gonna try to catch a fish, I guess. Finn knows what he's doing, fishing-wise. No, but we need to move Starlink first, because that's like really the only fishing rod holder we have out. I think there's one like deep under the bed, but I think that'd be more of a pain to get than just moving Starlink into the cockpit here. Fishing is something we are really interested in learning more about. The previous owner left us with a really nice setup. I grew up fishing on small lakes, but I'm not familiar with ocean game or filleting them for that matter, so it's going to be a large learning curve. Previously, sailing and moving the boat was so new to us that we couldn't imagine taking on fishing at the same time. But now that we are more comfortable sailing, I think that we will be spending a lot more time dragging a line when we can. Unfortunately, we didn't catch anything on this trip. I don't think we were moving quite fast enough.
To be honest, I was extra grateful to have Finn on this trip because I wasn't feeling very well.
This is day 1. Haven't thrown up yet, but it's pretty rocky.
As far as emotions go, I wasn't feeling very anxious for this trip, mostly just excited and unfortunately under the weather.
Finn and I split the night shifts. There is something so calming about a peaceful night on the ocean. We really wanted to do some sailing today, but the wind just shifts directly to where we're going every time we try to put the sails up and change any kind of course. We had one really solid port tack, and that was it. The wind is supposed to pick up though from the west at like 3 a.m. It's gonna be Sunday. So kind of just waiting patiently, going like 2.5, maybe 3.5 knots at a time for the next 8-12 hours. Not exactly the best time to be out here. At least we're out on the ocean, and we are moving again, which is amazing. So yeah, I guess gotta look at the positives, even if the negative is kind of frustrating. It's like every time our boat slams into the water, and the waves aren't even big, so it's not as bad as it has been in the past, but it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I thought sailing upwind would be fine, but we were really struggling to get any speed from our sails, and we're having to rely on our engine way more than I would have liked. You would have thought we have learned our lessons about trying to sail on a schedule by now, but I guess it hadn't quite sunken in yet. Of course, we could have been tacking off the wind and moving somewhat south, but we didn't want this trip to be over 3 days having Finn on board and needing to get him back home. Not that Finn was putting any pressure on us about it. Eventually, I was so frustrated with motor sailing that we changed course just so we could sail for a little while to be comfortable. This was so much more enjoyable, you could almost feel the joy from the boat's spirit. So we just went ahead and raised the mainsail and the jib. We decided we can't go into the wind any longer, we're just gonna tack, stay 45 degrees off the wind or something like that. But we went from going like 2.83 knots all the way up to like 5.3, 5.5. We're moving. So, I mean, it's kind of typical sailing. It's like you can never sail directly where you want to go. but we're chilling. I think this should be a little less bumpy too. It seems the shackle holding down our main sheet was not threaded well enough. I imagine from after we used it to help raise the dinghy engine, which meant under the force of the wind, it eventually just completely came undone.
Do we have any longer ones?
Because I looked at it and the threads were like not even close halfway through.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
You have a Dyneema that can fit through that? Or another shackle?
Yeah, we definitely have other shackles. I don't know if we have a small shackle.
Yeah, you can just squeeze the whole thing, it'll straighten it out too. Ready? Yeah, also threading it like really tight again to help it squeeze in a bit. Maybe it just wasn't tight, you know?
It took a bit of playing around with, but we did manage to bend it back into place and get a strong thread on it, although we will likely look at a replacement in the future.
Alright, ready? You're stronger. Hold on. You want to hold it and I'll try and... What side is the thread? That one?
Right.
Okay.
Are you in the hole?
I don't know. I don't even think this side is threads and I'm trying to thread it through.
Yeah. I think this is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere yet.
Sometimes tacking on our boat can be a little difficult because the Genoa likes to get stuck on our storm sail.
Is it caught on something?
It's almost there.
It's like a little cod on the thing.
No, it's going, it's going, it's going. There you go. Got it.
We didn't have enough wind to keep sailing and ended up having to rely on the motor again. This whole trip was just back and forth sailing, or just motoring. The poor engine was getting a workout after such a long break during that repair.
It's what I got, and then the summer turned into fall.
We were out there for about 2.5 days. We were just not making enough progress for the amount of ground we were covering and the amount of fuel we were burning. We decided to call it and headed into Beaufort, South Carolina. We've decided to go into Beaufort, South Carolina because we're just not making enough progress for the amount of time. This is the 3rd day and this is as far as we've made it so far. So we're just battling against the current and the wind, and it just hasn't been working out, and that's okay. We're gonna go in and grab a mooring ball here instead and figure out what's next.
Go for it.
So let me be the one to hold you. Do you feel our love is the only thing that is real? It's like a heart with nothing to conceal. Nothing.
This pelican would not stop following us. Maybe he thought we were a fishing boat that might throw him a snack. Pelicans are currently my favorite birds, so I was having a great time hanging out with this guy.
It's what I got, and then the summer turned into fall.
Spirits are up. We're a couple hours out from this marina. We're gonna grab a mooring pole and Safe Harbor here.
The guys were messing around with our broken dinghy engine while I was at the helm and started hearing some slight drops in the RPM. This has happened before when our fuel filter was dirty. This time it was a bit of air in the fuel line. This was a little nerve-wracking because we didn't have enough wind to sail and we had to turn our engine off while we fixed the problem, so we were just floating for a minute or two.
You can hold that up. Which thing? Air coming through it.
I see the air coming through. There's some air bubbles, yeah. There are some air bubbles.
We added more fuel to the tank. Even though we added some when we were out there, it was still getting pretty low. And then Patrick and Finn bled the fuel line. Thankfully, we fixed it quickly, and it was great that it happened before we got further into town and got a lot busier. Once we got going down the channel again, we actually got the sails up one last time to give us a little boost. We were all exhausted at this point and ready to get in for the night.
Time is gone and I grew up. I somehow made it through without losing sight. And I still wonder where you are, and if you found a way out from the dark. The stories I've been told.
I have missed moving the boat so much over the last couple months during that repair. It was such a treat to get the head sail out one more time for the last stretch of this passage and make our way into Beaufort.
Bruises, they come and they go, and we have to try and keep up, 'cause this life's so much.
We made it through the bridge and decided to stop at the fuel dock to fill up again before we grabbed a mooring ball.
Look at us getting fuel at the fuel dock.
Second time on this trip.
We just need the confidence of a fin. I mean, that went pretty smooth. It was very slow, but we made it.
Slow is better.
Slow is pro, as they say.
After we were situated on the mooring ball, Finn went up the mast to check out our anchor and TriColor unit. Our anchor light has been working overall, but once in a while the breaker pops, so we know something is going on, and the TriColor light has stopped working altogether.
We're here up Talia's mast. Their anchor light has not been working, but their TriColor, I don't know if you guys can see that or hear that, but it's kind of something you don't really want to hear. But it's weird, it's like a pronged piece. That's the base. They thought to put foot pegs on the mast, which was very kind of them.
Okay, so this is our TriColor light. Finn was already up the mast fixing the spreaders, and we decided to just send him all the way up to see what's going on with this TriColor light. And it's quite clear what the problem was. This guy was just completely loose, not connected to anything. These little wires that are part of it were just sitting in the bottom. Yeah, I mean, totally not ideal. We did take the 12-volt battery and test, and both of the bulbs look good still. We're just gonna try to fix this thing instead of just buying a new one. Maybe because I don't know if the connection would still work if we just bought a new one. So, and plus, like, this thing's not even that broken. So if we can save it and repair it, I think that's kind of the right call. I mean, I don't have a ton of epoxy experience, just a little bit when I was like fixing the hole in the fiberglass. So if you have like a good sense for it, you're more than welcome to.
That's fine. I mean, yeah, no, it's fine.
That looks good?
That's fine.
What if we taste a little taste?
Yeah.
It smells kind of nice. Okay, so we just got to make sure it's not in the holes. We're just using a piece of tape to kind of keep it all together. And we're hoping we can just kind of get things nice and epoxied without making too much of a mess here. First, we tried using epoxy to mend the broken plastic back together. So you can see where these little wires just kind of, I mean, they're just very small. It does look like they had some little casings on them, which isn't a bad idea. But I'm wondering if we can just kind of send it with these slightly bigger wires. I guess we'll see if they fit in there. We had slightly bigger wires, maybe by 1 gauge, which should be fine. I feel like it's more of an issue to use smaller wires as it could be a fire hazard. It would be nice if there was like a positive and negative on here, but I'm just gonna have to kind of deal with what we got. It might take a little bit of trial and error. We used a 12-volt battery to test it so we could figure out which sides were positive and negative, and also which direction the lights faced, because we want to make sure that we line it up so that green is on our starboard and red is on our port. Okay, so our epoxy was not curing nearly fast enough. I don't know. It's slow hardening epoxy. We're just gonna go ahead and use some super glue first. Maybe toss epoxy on after. We used a heat gun to help it dry faster, but it was such a pain holding it together, so I grabbed my soldering iron and used it to kind of melt the plastic back together. I finished it off with a little more epoxy to give it some strength. We need to cut these wires to size. Okay, so we have our red and our black wires. Quick, let's just get some, cut off these ends. Put wire strippers on the list, I guess, of, I know I have some, but I cannot find them. Okay, see, red, green, and white. We're gonna go in like this. An anchor light and TriColor light that is mostly just epoxy. How do you feel about it?
Man, if it works, it works.
I feel like you're not cruising if you're not just epoxying everything together, you know?
You know, like that art in museums that you're like, what am I even looking at?
Yeah.
It's just this right here.
That's,
This is art.
I feel like it's a Looney Tunes style connection to make somebody like put a screwdriver in here, you know?
Yeah.
After all of that, the cover wouldn't fit back on, so we had to sand it down some. So apparently this was very precisely sized. So even the epoxy we have on the edges is a little too much for it to fit back into its home. So we're just gonna use some sandpaper, I think, and smooth it out a little bit.
There it goes.
Oh yeah? Alright. We got it, we got it. Ground in the middle. That's pretty bright, yeah?
It's pretty bright, yeah. Yep.
Okay, chilling.
Nice.
Okay, time to send you up the mast. I'm really happy we took the time to fix this. It might not last forever, but it feels good to be able to take something broken and make it like new again. Huge shout out to Finn for going up the mast and hooking the light back in. Also just for being so awesome and helpful during this trip. We are unfortunately saying goodbye for now, but hopefully he'll be back around in the not so distant future. We just tested the anchor light and the TriColor light, and both of them work now. Fingers crossed that just fixes the issue. I mean, it was obviously totally kind of like bunk and destroyed before. Kind of amazed that the anchor light ever just stayed on, because like it would just be kind of flaky. Like I think it would short sometimes, and I have to imagine that's just because there was like loose wires and screws connecting things. Kind of nice to try to save 150 bucks or so. We'll see if that keeps going. We'll probably end up buying a spare anyway. We'll kind of see.
We are still planning to purchase a new dinghy engine, but at the moment we have been relying on rowing, which means we still have to time going to shore with the current. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe next time Patrick and I are taking off on our own again, and unfortunately end up in one of the scariest sails we've been on yet.